He kōna e purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora, Braden Priest here for Culture 101. Each week just after 1:30 on Sundays, we catch up with our regular cast of film reviewers to find out what's good and maybe not so good at the movies. And this week, it's Dan Slevin chatting about Canadian supernatural horror film Undertone. He also talks about You, Me and Tuscany, which features Halle Bailey and Regé-Jean Page. And also Solo Mio, not Solo Mio, Solo Mio, another rom-com set in Italy. Kia ora, Dan.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, look, I'm very well. I feel like a little bit of a hamster on the wheel today because, as you know, I don't look or sound like Perlina or Anna Thomas. But the one constant is you, Dan. It's nice to have you with us this afternoon.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, one of the films you're going to be talking about is Undertone. This is the Canadian supernatural horror film about the hosts of a paranormal podcast sent mysterious and troubling recordings that push one of the hosts towards fear and paranoia. Evie, the female host, played by Nina Kerry, who people might know from Handmaid's Tale, is a caregiver for her comatose mother, and they're only the only characters seen on screen, which is interesting in itself. The atmosphere and suspense is conveyed entirely through the sound design, apparently, Dan.
Yeah, there. Did you hear that?
I did. What was that?
I don't know. I'm gonna play it louder. Oh my! You heard that, right? Tell me you heard that.
Yes.
Good.
What's it saying?
Yeah, I can't really make it out.
I mean, it could be an artifact, an overlap of a previous recording.
I don't know. I wonder if they noticed it when they played it back.
Play the next one.
Okay, here we go.
Jessa, babe, are you all right?
Why are you looking at me like that?
What is happening?
That is, if you're listening in stereo, you'll get a sense, I think, of the incredibly vivid sound design that this film features. And the director, Ian Tuason, this is his first feature film, but he has a background in virtual reality content making and real sort of immersive storytelling, and that's one of the real strengths of this film. Very, very low budget horror film. Interesting background to the writer-director Ian Tuason is that he originally conceived of Undertone as a radio play, and then during the COVID lockdown period, he ended up having to look after both of his parents when they both got cancer at the same time, and so he had to move back into the family home and become their primary caregiver, and that informed the story as well, because Evie, the host of this podcast, the co-host of this podcast, has also moved back into the family home to look after her mother, who has stopped eating and is basically comatose and is shortly to pass away, she hopes, without too much more pain and suffering. And not only is this story inspired by his own story, he actually shot the film in the family home where both of his parents passed away. I mean, it's kind of creepy, but also incredibly practical in terms of when you want to make your first film, you use what you've got close at hand. And the two hosts of the podcast, Justin, the male host, is in a completely different time zone to Evie. They're communicating entirely online. He's been sent all of these creepy audio files, and they have a relationship that's it's kind of Mulder and Scully like relationship, in that he's the true believer in all of this supernatural stuff and she's the skeptic. But as the days go on and they listen to more of these clips and learn more about the potential demonic possession that those clips indicate, she starts to really sort of lose it, and partly through lack of sleep, partly through the fear of what's happening to and watching what's happening to her mother, and also her own personal circumstances, which, I mean, it is kind of all piled on a wee bit for in terms of the story. But it starts off very sort of restrained and careful, and then it really, as you get into the third act, it gets really kind of wild, I have to say.
I'm curious about that. Started the concept as a radio play or podcast or whatever it would be in 2026. Does it feel like it's translated well, Dan?
Yeah, it does. I think this is a great example of using your limitations. And like, I'm not a huge horror movie buff. I'm not an expert at it. And frankly, if it was entirely up to me, I probably wouldn't have gone to see this one.
Right.
But and in fact, I used my own personal love of audio and recording gear to distract myself when things got super scary. I thought she's got a really good microphone there. That's a good one. But it does work, and it's because of the expertise in how the sound works. I mean, it's got the kind of classic horror movie jump scares in there, but they're caused by and they use audio for it, and I think it's very clever. And I know that this was a pretty well awaited film. It was launched at Sundance earlier on this year, and I know that horror buffs have been waiting for it. And so this is one of those films where I think the cinema experience is going to be really important, because a surround sound cinema is going to you will be losing your mind, I have to say, because it uses the technology of surround sound really, really well.
So you mentioned the horror buffs, anticipating this. Does it hit the spot for them? Those people who are so keen on horror. Does it have what you think they need?
Well, luckily, if you're a horror fan, there's one every week, isn't there? Yeah. So if you were disappointed by this, you would find that there'll be something else next week. It'll be fine. I think that it'll actually hit the spot. It's got a very sort of Catholic vibe to it. The house that she is living in, her mother is Catholic, so there's lots of crucifixes and various sort of Catholic memorabilia around the house, and I think that the supernatural aspect of it will really will land really heavily if you've got a Catholic background, which I don't, so I'm just guessing at that point. But I think that if you do have a history with Catholicism, it will creep you out even more.
Yeah, right. Now for something completely different. You, Me and Tuscany. This has got singer and actor Halle Bailey in it, who people will remember from Ariel in the live-action version of The Little Mermaid. It stars her as an American cook who impulsively decides to squat in a Tuscan villa, but things get even more complicated when she meets the owner's cousin, who is heartthrob to many, Regé-Jean Page from Bridget and Dan.
So let me get this straight. You meet some random rich white boy.
He's Italian.
So some random rich spicy white boy tells you all about his Nona, and you decide that that's a sign to go to Italy tonight?
Mm-hmm.
You can't even afford an apartment. You don't have a job, friend.
I know. It's perfect.
You didn't even exchange numbers. How you gonna call him?
Girl, it's not about him, okay? He doesn't even live there anymore.
Oh, even better. Perfect conditions for my friend to get kidnapped.
Okay, it's meant to be. I'm using the ticket my mama already bought me, and I have $535 in my savings account.
$500?
Yep, it's enough.
It's not enough.
You were the one who's telling me I need to start living my life?
I meant making small proactive changes, like fixing your credit score, making a hinge account.
Yeah, that's Halle Bailey as Anna, explaining her hastily conceived plan to use what's left of her savings and a pre-existing ticket to go to Italy because she has met a rich real estate guy in a bar who has told her that he has had a big falling out with his family in Tuscany, and his villa is empty, and he's unlikely to be going home. So she decides, well, in response to her own a personal tragedy of her own, she's sort of drifting, so she decides, well, why not drift in beautiful Italy? Things go flying off the rails when she unfortunately is discovered in this villa, and she makes up a story about being betrothed to this man. She finds an engagement ring, puts it on, and then for the rest of the film she has to pretend that Matteo, the owner of the house, is going to marry her, and of course this makes the family incredibly happy that Matteo is going to be returning home, that they're going to have a wedding, but of course it's all lies basically, and the lies build up and they get even more complicated when she meets Regé-Jean Page, who is Matteo's cousin, and they start to have actual feelings for each other. And this is a classic sort of American fish out of water romantic comedy story in the spirit, I think, of a film like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and Nia Vardalos, who created that film way back, has a cameo in this. So it's almost got the Big Fat Greek Wedding seal of approval on it.
Right. Is he just there for eye candy to get viewers in, or is he actually a decent actor?
Look, I suspect that there is a decent actor under that. I also feel that he's almost too perfect to be a really big movie star. Like he's so handsome, he's so physically perfect. I feel like if you're going to become a really, really big movie star, you've got to have some kind of flaw. I was thinking about this watching the drama last week, and Zendaya with her crooked teeth, you know, that you've got to have something that makes you want to look again at someone. So I have a suspicion that Mr. Page's career is going to be in the sort of mid-range rather than the very height. I can't see him becoming the next James Bond, for example.
Okay, let's talk about Solo Mio. We're staying in Italy. Another rom-com set in Italy stars Kevin James from The King of Queens as a jilted groom who decides to continue on the tour that was supposed to be his honeymoon. This feels somewhat familiar. Made by a filmmaking collective called the Kinane Brothers, if I'm getting that right. Literally 8 brothers and a brother-in-law, but credited to Chuck Kinane and Dan Kinane.
Look, I think we both know things didn't go too well today. What do you say we just get a refund on everything?
Mr. Taylor, I understand your frustration, but I can do nothing.
So what's supposed to happen?
If I was in your position, Mr. Taylor, I would just enjoy the package myself. Go see Italy. It's beautiful. See the sights, drink wine, lots of food.
Go on my honeymoon.
Call it what you want. Honeymoon, vacation, it's paid for. I will keep this here with me for when Mrs. Taylor returns.
Thank you. Marcello, thank you so much, yeah.
You're welcome.
Well, yeah. Okay, so we've got a choice now of which film about an American learning to heal their heal themselves by traveling to Italy and falling into romance. Which one will you choose? I mean, probably it's unlikely that people will want to go to both, I think. You, Me and Tuscany is the much easier film. It's much more glossy and glamorous, and it's got a few more laughs in it. Solo Mio is one of the more maudlin romantic comedies I've seen in a long while. It's distributed in the States by a company called Angel Studios, and Angel Studios started out as a company producing and distributing films with a faith-based sort of background. They've now broadened out into more different subject matters, but it's still a very, rather than faith-based, I would say they're a values-based company. And I feel like this is a very old-fashioned film. It's very old-fashioned in its attitudes to women and female characters, and it's also kind of old-fashioned in its humor as well. There's a kind of weird cameo from Andrea Bocelli in this film, which seems to be seems to have happened just because somebody knew him.
Yeah, let's grab an Italian who can sing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because of course there's a little bit of Nessun Dorma involved in there as well, which is kind of part of the story. Anyway, so Kevin James, he's jilted at the altar. He decides to stay on in Italy and indulge himself with the tour. He meets a beautiful coffee shop owner and realizes that maybe the world of romance isn't completely dead for him. But then some terrible coincidences, I mean really shocking writing, mean that it turns out even in a city the size of Rome, everybody knows each other, and somehow he realizes that this coffee shop owner might have had something to do with his wife or his fiancée not turning up at the church. So I'm not a big fan of Solo Mio. I've found it to be derivative, and I don't know. It's and Kevin James isn't a very appealing leading man. I mean, he plays that kind of sad sack middle-aged man. I mean, he's been perfecting that kind of character for a long time, but I find that sort of feeling sorry for himself, sort of gloomy, that it wears pretty thin pretty quickly.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you, Dan Slevin, for once again popping in for the big screen, and obviously we hear you through the week as well here on RNZ, and people can catch up on the podcast. Catch you next time.
Thank you.